How is this different to timeshare? Part of the deal is you throw in a Porsche.
I'm not a real estate agent.
Sounds like a lot of work for you when you can just sell something and get the full 8/8. What is it that you guys have done right that they did wrong?
We're not Americans.
Today we're talking about Mojo Sharing. For that, I'm with one of the co-founders of Mojo Estates. You've probably seen and heard about them quite a bit. You're a noisy bunch. And the Mojo Sharing thing, let's just get this straight out of the gate. Before you switch your ears off, it ain't timeshare. It is pretty similar to Pacaso. And now we're going to talk about how you can benefit from this. Okay, so pay attention. So let's just get straight to the point on this.
Yeah.
You have a co-ownership setup called
Yes.
Mojo Sharing.
Yes.
It's the thing most of us have heard before, which is the 8th sharing of a property.
Yes, sir.
Now you can fill in the gaps for me, will you?
Yeah, it's actually a concept that I was inspired with back in Denmark, where I come from. There is, for over 10 years, being those sharing concepts. There they had 21 families sharing 5 properties around Europe. So it could be a winery in Italy, a ski resort in Switzerland, and a villa in Marbella. And I got inspired by that and said, let's do a simpler model where we are 5 families sharing 1 property in our backyard. Now, I did that in 2019, 2020. We got the first up and rolling. Then Pacaso came around, and I was the first guy they invited to come to their office in Marbella. And they didn't know anything about what they're talking about. And then they left. But they had 2 good things that I liked. One thing was 1/8 of an ownership is better, because 10 weeks a year you don't need, but 6 weeks makes more sense. And the other part was the mortgage side of things. They had a mortgage model, and we have implemented that. So that's an 80% mortgage options for the client.
80%, even for non-residents.
Oh yeah, I don't care. We mortgage it ourselves.
Right. So you guys own the money.
Yeah.
So is this just for people that want to buy a holiday home and want to basically get something that's 8 times better than they can afford?
That's one part of it.
Okay.
There's people who has money, and there's people who don't have enough money to fulfill their full dream, right?
It's basically you and me.
Yeah. I mean, I love the Pacaso idea on Ibiza that they had, but then they closed it down. It makes totally sense. The whole point is, you come down on the Costa del Sol, you're not completely sure if you really want to spend and invest your money down here. This is like a little tipping your toe in there and says, is that something for me, also area-wise?
So it's like a stepping stone.
It is, because, I always say it is expensive to buy a property. It's extremely cheap to own a property in Spain, right? It's the purchase cost. So you need to make the right decision the first time. Here, you have an option to go in, test it for a few years, and then you buy your own apartment or your own villa. And we see that. This year, we had 6 resales, and they all bought.
So by resales, you mean people that had a share that sold the share?
Yeah.
And they've then gone and bought something permanent home.
Yeah, we have 20 properties that we bought so far, and now the rotation starts to happening as the years go by. They want to get out of it, and then they sell the shares.
And is this also for people that, because there is a trend towards relocation generally in the Costa del Sol, so it's traditionally just a holiday home thing, but is this something that people that are looking to relocate but are not sure where on the coast they want to live? Or are using this sort of thing?
No, it's not for relocation people. It is for people who are not unfriendly with their own money, because the other part of it, this is a strong Northern European thing for sure. It's the Scandinavian countries. It's coming a lot out of Holland and Belgium. It's people saying, why would I spend 1 million euro, 2 million euro on something with that I'm not coming more than 6 weeks, and they don't want the hassle with the tourist license, all these problems, and they can basically get that luxury for 1/8 of the price.
And the question most people have that didn't listen to Pacaso the first time around is, how is this different to timeshare?
Well, it's a co-ownership. So the construction is, a company is made, an SL company is made. In that company, we buy the property. We stage it with beautiful furniture, and we do the whole administration of that company and the property. And you own 1/8 of those shares, so 12.5% of a Spanish company. And these shares you can transfer at any given time to whoever you want and with what price you would like.
So you can get out of it whenever you want, basically.
Exactly.
And I presume you can get more than one share if you want to, no?
Up to 3 shares. We don't want anybody who has a 50% ownership.
Right, because they
So
get
up to 3 shares. Most take 1 or 2 shares. 2 shares if because they need more than 6 weeks a year here.
Would you have bought a share if this existed before you moved here?
No, because I moved here permanently.
Okay, so
I moved from day one here.
right,
But if the option would exist on Ibiza, I love Ibiza, I would go there right away.
right, okay.
So
Okay.
we're looking right now on that area ourselves and on Mallorca as well.
Okay, so now let's talk about the product, what you have.
Yeah.
What sort of things, just so that people can go, okay, yeah, this is the sort of price range and the location and stuff that I'm interested in.
We're still in the process of finding what is the sweet spot of everything. But we have to see people are very different. Clients' needs are very different. So at this point, we have 2 stunning villas. These are like 2.5 million euro villas in Benalmádena, in a beautiful area in Torremolinos. We showed you that one,
Yeah,
didn't we?
that's lovely.
And then we have 5 apartments, luxury apartments in Carat. I remember I visited you this one, the one where we talked about the Porsche.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
And then we have 7 in Royal Palms, but they are fully sold out. So those 56 families, they are moving in the beginning of this.
56.
Yeah, because it's 7 properties times 8.
All right, so you've sold.
And not moving into the same day.
So you've sold 56 shares in
Yeah,
one
because
development.
it's sold out long
And
time.
Royal Palms is in Mijas.
Yeah, it's
Mijas Costa.
it's La Cala.
And the Carat is in Higueron,
It is.
correct? Right, okay.
Yeah, and then we have a few in Horizonte, just above Higueron, and we're looking for areas in Marbella. It's moving all the time.
Right, okay. And let's go back to Carat, because that piqued my interest when I looked at it.
Yeah.
So for about how much is that normally? What does it cost to buy a property in Carat?
Cost 1 million. It's all apartments there is over 1 million.
Okay, so you could buy an eighth of an apartment in Carat,
Yes.
and part of the deal is you throw in a Porsche.
Yeah. So the concept is that Carat is the most prestige project of the Higueron side of things, the privé, and they're making a very sustainable solutions there. So we got inspired and say, why don't we put in a Porsche Macan electric, the new that just came out. Now, with that Carat is built in 27, I have to go out and buy 5 Porsche Macan. Now, a brand new costs 82,000 euro. So I'm going out and buy one that's maybe 15,000 kilometers. That is maybe a GTS version or whatever. And I have 80,000 euro to buy for, because each owner has paid 10,000 euro for their new Porsche.
And so their share of their eighth of Carat is how much? Does that work out? I'm very bad at it.
It's 159,000 euro plus the Porsche, so it's 169, and that's for 2-bed. And the 3-bed is with the car at 209.
So you can get, I mean, you put it like that, you get a 3-bed. I mean, you showed me that place, and it's spectacular. It's crazy. You could have a Porsche thrown in for less than 200K.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not saying this this is not a commercial thing between us.
No, it's not.
It's just, it sounds very attractive, because that's the sort of thing where a lot of agents get buyers through, like you said, with the old ideas of what it costs to buy a property here.
Yeah.
And maybe they have a budget of 350, 400. And when they see what they can get for that at the moment in nice areas, it's a little depressing for a lot of them, right?
It is. I mean, look at our villa. That's for 349,000 euro. It's stunning. 4-bedroom cinema is really, really stunning. And you get it for 349,000 euro. Imagine if you will have to buy, don't get me wrong, a little apartment in Torremolinos or in Fuengirola, cost the same or more. Yeah. And it does not make sense.
And I do like the idea that if somebody is maybe not struggling to get a mortgage or get a mortgage for the amount they want, because that's another thing that comes into it sometimes, is that they hear that they can get maybe a 70% mortgage as a non-resident, but then that's the optimal maximum amount in reality, it doesn't include costs, so you got to throw 10%.
The real loan to value is maximum 60.
Yeah. So
and the banks always go 10% down.
So you end up having to bring 50% of it.
Like that.
And if you're not really planning on using it that much, the only thing the bad vibes of the old days of timeshare was always, it's easy to get in, but it's very hard to get out.
Exactly.
So in this case, in Mojo Sharing, it's very easy to get out.
Absolutely.
But you could just sell it. I mean, would you guys buy it? Like if I had one, and I thought, okay, I'm done now. I want to buy some a forever home here.
Yeah.
Would you guys buy it back off me, or
We have
how does it work?
bought a few bags that needed to go out. We had one unfortunate incident with a guy who came into becoming in a wheelchair, and he said, "Can I just get out?" And we bought it back for his old share price because the share prices are going up.
Of course.
It's the same thing with new development. We are focusing on. We also try to do a few reform jobs and stuff, but people want the new development. They want all the amenities, all this great stuff that's going on that you see in Carat. Now, so we buy early, and then when it's done 2 years later, of course, the value is higher, and not all people can rely and say, okay, is this going to be nice? But if it's a running community, a running company with the furniture there, there's a rental aspect as well, then they pay more to get in because it's key ready.
Yeah,
Right.
I gotcha. And so, what do you have available right now?
We have the villa is almost sold out.
This is the one in Torremoya.
Yeah, exactly. The villa is almost sold out now.
And for those people that don't know the Benalmádena so well, Torremoya is below the Benalmádena Pueblo.
Exactly.
I lived there before.
Yeah.
It's
It's
my favorite.
I live there myself. So
It's my favorite part of
it's
Benalmádena.
so beautiful.
Yeah, it
So
is.
beautiful.
So you got some shares left in Moina? Sorry.
There's a few left. We're looking for the second villa now there. And then we have 5 in Carat in Huron that we all know about.
Shares.
5 full property.
Units.
Yeah, units we just bought.
Right. So 5 times 8.
Yeah.
Right. So you got
Yeah.
whatever 40 shares. But
40 shares.
Okay. So
something.
40 unit. 40.
Yeah.
Right.
Then we have 2 apartments in Horizonte, just above the motorway.
That's above Iran, isn't it?
It is just above Huron.
That's the one you took me there. Is that?
I took you there.
Yeah. That's not been built yet, though, has it?
No, it's not. So there's the new Evoque coming.
Yeah.
From Top Gestion, and then above Evoque and below what is it called, Essentials, is right there.
As you drive up the motorway in Malaga
Exactly.
direction, it's us. When you see they got on a restaurant, it's on the left, isn't it? Perched
is.
right up.
It
It's
is.
kind of the plot you see sat there. Yeah.
These are the 3 right now there because we sold out all 7 in La Cala.
Okay. And so this is a business that's been going up and running. It's not a concept. It's none of this.
No, it's running. We have 4 or 5 running that is fully built. The families are working there. They're renting it out. All these things is happening.
Why would you do something so much? Sounds like a lot of work for you when you can just sell something and get the full 8/8.
Yeah, but it's like it's a different market. Now Mojo is a different company. We're just not a real estate company. We have our capital trust where we handle the investment side of the real estate world, and we have a rental business. We have a cleaning company. We have all those different aspects. And because I come out of Denmark, we see this being a big success there. So of course we get inspired.
That was actually going to be my next question. Was what sort of buyers get it? Like what nationalities, from your experience, that get it, and which other ones are a bit more like, oh, it's the same thing as something else?
We talked a lot about the Polish market is good down for us. We have sold a lot to Polish this year as well. And we tried to launch a campaign. It didn't work. They didn't get it. They simply didn't get the co-ownership thinking. But the Dutch are getting it. The Belgians are getting it. The Brits, of course, are getting it. The only thing the Brits are saying, it's not timeshare, isn't it?
Right. Understandably.
Yeah.
They had
So
a lot of years of that.
It's those guys
And the Scandinavians.
and the Scandinavians.
Okay.
Yeah. Now we're going to look a little into see if we can get the people from Madrid and Barcelona, like the Spanish people, to understand it. Because I see there is other real only Spanish sharing companies popping up everywhere now.
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah. So what is it that, you guys started doing this, planning this before Pacaso arrived.
Yeah.
Pacaso arrived and did a big bang. We were all witnesses to it.
Yeah, right.
And they're still running, but they're just not present over here visibly. What is it that you guys have done right that they did wrong?
We're not Americans. No, but it's funny. No, but there are some good guys in Pacaso for sure. But in those meetings I had with them, they basically say, we're going to build the plane while we fly. That doesn't work.
Right.
It doesn't work. And so they burned a lot of cash off in Marbella because they didn't know what they were doing. And then they withdraw, and I think they get their shit together basically in America. I think it goes well for them in London and stuff like that. And I think they're coming back one day,
Yeah.
which I wouldn't mind, because Pacaso did a high-end thing, right? It is a share price for around 700,000 euro. So they did very high-end Marbella. We started out with a one-bedroom apartment for 69,000 with an 80% mortgage, so you have to bring 13,000 euro. So it was a different market we were in.
Right. That's one of the things that confused me. I met with them as well.
Yeah.
Great bunch of people, but they were pitching this high-end solution to high-end agencies. And the bit I couldn't understand is high-end agency has a 4 million euro buyer. Is not going to say there's no motivation for them to go, no, just spend 700,000 instead. And then Pacaso can then sell them London, the Alps, New York, wherever. And you think, I'm just giving you 7/8 of my income for no reason. I always thought that they should have pitched to the mass market regular agencies that have buyers in the budgets of, 250 to 750. You can say, hey, now you can afford something in Nova Andalusia,
In my previous business, I have always been more into quantity. I like quantity better than just high end only.
As a sort of final thing on this, I'll put details to the different stuff that you have on with this video. But I met you, how long ago was it now? 8 years?
It was back in the voodoo days.
Yeah.
Right. So,
yeah.
8 years ago.
Yeah. And you came from, you joined forces with Jacob.
Yeah.
But your background is finance, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just tell me a little bit about that, because I always thought that was fascinating, and not many people know about it.
I'm not a real estate agent.
Yeah.
And 8 years ago, they didn't need another one, did they?
No, they don't need another one now.
No, that's true. No, I did all the business schools. I was one of the youngest in Denmark to get an executive MBA in change management, and then I was preparing myself for the corporate world. But I had a urge for building my own. So I went into of all things, I went biotech first.
Okay.
I created one of the first stem cell banks for umbilical cord blood. I built a GMP laboratories in Denmark, and I got a few percent of all pregnant women to bank their blood with us. Then I sold that business just before the finance crisis. And on the backside of the finance crisis, I went into fintech, which was a hot topic that time, in buy now, pay later solutions, where you borrow money. But we did it on the e-commerce side. So it's like the Danish Nordic version of Klarna, if you know that.
Yeah.
I built that company called Viabil together with a business partner then. And then in 2014, I decided to sell off my shares and retire.
And how old were you at this point?
44.
44. Okay.
Yeah. So I came to retire, bought my villa, made a massive reform, bought an apartment where I met Jacob. We had met a little through our daughters, and bought there. And I was sitting having coffee with him, complaining about how horrible the structure of everything is in the buying process. And then he said, why don't we make one? Why don't we make a real estate company where we fix all those things that are not working in Spain? And that was kind of the start. And we did that in 2018.
Yeah, I remember going through your plans with the whiteboard and stuff like that. And really, years later, the one thing that for me stands out from you guys compared to other people, because all agents say they're better, all agents say they're different, all agents say they solve all the world's problems. I mean, that bit to me is a bit like white noise. But where your expansion is unique to me, because it's not in you're not in scaling by rinse and repeat of more of the same, by geographic reach and more offices and more of that sort of thing. You guys have kind of done like a 360 expansion. So every little service.
Yeah.
Basically, what you were just saying about you and Jacob going, this is not a good process. You really have kind of gone for every part of the process that you've gone, I don't like how this is done here.
Exactly.
You offer that service. So yours really is under this thing. Some people may have seen some videos of yours where they go, House of Mojo.
Yeah. Now, in business school, we call this horizontal integration, which is like Strand Properties, Engelfolkers. They stick to one thing that they're good at, and then they branch out to different areas. So that's the horizontal. Mojo is about a House of Mojo where we create the vertical integration. So we started out a real estate company. Then we figure out, we can be better at doing a rental. Then we did the legal. So we have our own lawyers. Then we did the finance, where we do all the gestoria, all the companies we're building for our clients. And then now we have done our own cleaning company, our own laundry company, and our own architects. We have our own architects and design studio, and the capital trust and the sharing. So we're 55 people today.
Wow. Okay.
That's the downside of it, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean that's what you mean by it. That's a vertical.
It is exactly vertical.
Right. Fantastic. Per, thank you very much for your time, man, and look forward to seeing what other verticals come. The Mojo supermarket, the Mojo hotel.
Hopefully not so much anymore.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.